Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast Tactica video. Today we are continuing to discuss the Dark Eldar Codex. This is video number 8, and we now move on to the troop choices of the Kabalite forces, starting with the Kabalite Warriors and Trueborn. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another SkaredCast tactical video. Today we continue to talk about the Dark Eldar release in video number 8. We're talking now about the troop choices in the Dark Eldar book, starting with the Kabalite Warriors. Well, this also will discuss the elite choice, Kabalite Trueborn, because they are both part of the same entry. So, Kabalite Warriors are the mainstay of any Dark Eldar army. They are cheap, they are above human in skill, and they equip weapons that are varied and good for almost all situations. Now, of course, I will touch on this in two parts. The first for newer players that are learning the Dark Eldar army, and the second for more veteran players that know more of the nuances of playing with a Dark Eldar force. So, let's begin, shall we? Kabalite Warriors are the poisoned lifeblood of their cabal. Each warrior must carve out a fearful reputation in the war-torn halls of High Comera, providing himself time and time again with proof that he is supposed to be there. Even then, only a chosen few enjoy the prestige of raiding the worlds of real space. Be they male or female, Kabalite warriors are tall and athletically built, powerful in stature and violent in temperament. When going to war, each warrior dons a sophisticated bodysuit of segmented armor. This is held in place with long metal barbs and hooks that penetrate the wearer's nerve bundles, sharpening his senses with the constant sting of pain. Kabalite warriors carry a wide array of fiendish weapons, predominantly long-ranged in nature, for few have the influence to ensure regeneration in the layers of the homunculi, and so they prefer to kill from afar. So Kabalite warriors start as a unit of 5 models. Very, very cheap. About 40 points for 5. That's really, really cheap for a generic troop choice with the stats that you're getting here. And they make up for it. But their steel weapons are 4. They are strength and toughness, the same as a humanoid, so 3. They have 1 wound of decent initiative of 5. 1 base attack and basic leadership of 8 with a 5+ Kabalite armor save. Generically, they're good. They shoot like a space marine, they're in combat like a space marine, they have the toughness and strength of a guardsman, they're as fast as most Eldar are, and they have decent leadership. So they're not bound to run away that often, although it can happen. And where they get interesting is in their wargear. They're great troops, just generic foot-slogging troops, and they do shooting very well. So they are armed with a splinter rifle and a close combat weapon. The splinter rifle is a 24-inch range, rapid fire, strength X, poison 4+, AP 5 weapon. That was a big breath there. They are the bane of any monstrous creature in the game, with a poison 4+ just shooting weapon. Doesn't matter how tough you are, they will shoot you. Now, when playing Dark Eldar, you know, having strength 8 weapons and strength 5 weapons that can deal with other targets, poison is really useful against things that are like toughness 5 and above, and then it kind of gets less useful as you lower the strength, lower the toughness of your intended target in terms of point for point damage to input ratio. So you want, they shoot a lot and they're cheap, so you can put a lot of models on the board. For less than 100 points, you have 10 of them. You can put them in a raider, give it splinter axe, boom, instant gunboat. 10 if you deep strike the raider in, you know, up to 20 rapid firing, twin linked, poison 4+ shots. It's a lot of shooting. The special rules are fleet, like most Eldar, night vision, like most Dark Eldar, and power from pain. So they benefit from the power from pain. You know, turn 2 feel no pain 6+, turn 3 feel no pain 5+, turn 6 they become furious. No, turn 4 they become furious charge. Turn 5 they become no, turn 5 it's furious charge and 6 it's fearless. Yes. Okay. No, turn 5 it's fearless. Anyway, look at the power from pain special. They benefit, which is great. Now the unit is minimum 5. But there's a few options. It can be up to 20 models. So if you wanted to field a horde of Kabalite Warriors, or now Trueborn, which I'll touch on in a second, you can field a huge blob of them. All Kabalite Warriors can be upgraded to Kabalite Trueborn from moderate point cost, changing their battlefield role from troops to elites. So if you want to, you can upgrade for very low point cost, less than half their base cost, to become a Kabalite Trueborn. This would change them to elites, but they gain an extra leadership and an extra attack, and then they gain a few more options that they can use in the entry. So let's continue to talk about warriors, and then we'll talk about Trueborn. So Kabalite Warriors can upgrade one of them to be a Saberite, or Saberite, which is pretty much a Trueborn, just like a squad sergeant, and he can take items from the melee weapons list. So if you really wanted to, you could give him something like a power sword or an agonizer, right? If you really feel like you want to get them stuck into combat. Not something I recommend for the newer players. Don't spend too many points on a unit upgrade. Now normally I would only recommend spending a unit sergeant upgrade on a larger unit, so it's not as likely to fall back. But for smaller, minimum sized units, normally not the worth the investment in points. It's usually better to kind of save that upgrade up over many squads and then put a whole other squad in. The Saberite may take either a Haywire grenade or a Phantasm grenade launcher. This is awesome. You couldn't used to give Kabalite Warriors Haywire grenades. I know they've been taken away from witches, but adding them to your Kabalite Warriors all of a sudden opens a whole new tactical realm of possibility. So before, you know, as a newer player, before the best way to run Kabalite Warriors was 5 Kabalite Warriors in a Venom, right, with double splintered cannons, with a blaster for the Kabalite Warriors. Cheap, both good at anti-infantry and with an anti-tank weapon, so you could do both things at once. Well, in the book, the blaster stayed the same points, the Venom has stayed the same points, the Kabalite Warriors have decreased 5 points. So now I'm very tempted in running a Saberite with a Haywire grenade. All of a sudden, that unit within 8 inches, which is where you can throw a Haywire grenade, has 2 great anti-tank weapons for a very moderate point cost more. You're looking at, and you'd save 5 points on the Warriors anyway, so for only 10 points more than what it was before, you have the Venom, 5 Kabalite Warriors, 1 with a blaster, and 1 with a higher leadership, and Haywire grenades that you can use for shooting and for close combat. Awesome! I'm really, really liking that little switch in dynamic. Just giving them that option changes the battlefield role of the Kabalite Warrior unit. You know, the Trueborn can do the same thing. Trueborn lost the ability to give it to everyone, but I really like it. You know, you can deep strike in a little venom with a Kabalite, like a blaster, and blast something, and then throw a haywire grenade in. You know, you're looking at not just one chance to do some damage, but 2 chances to do some damage, and then it's multiplied because you don't take 1 squad, you take like 4 squads of that same thing. It also deters things like command barges and things like that, like Necron command barges are coming up close to you if you have haywire grenades in combat, because it's awesome. You know, sadly he can challenge you, but you know, you never know. You could high initiative of 5, you know, before you dies in a challenge, can throw a haywire grenade in and hope for something to happen. Okay, so the unit itself can either take, well, you can take a blast pistol for the Saberite. I don't recommend it. Too many points and very, very short range. I honestly think the haywire grenade is a better anti-tank choice than the blast pistol. One Kabalite Warrior can take a special weapon, so either a blaster or a shredder. Yeah, a shredder is very, very cheap, and a blaster is the same points as it was, so it's 3 times. One blaster is 3 times the cost of a shredder. Blaster is more versatile. Now the shredder has changed. The shredder is a 12-inch range, small blast, strength 6 AP dash shred, so it rerolls wounds. Very useful against swarms because it's strength 6 and it'll instant kill them. Plus it's a blast, so it'll like double them out. Oh no, and the instant death takes precedent. But I wouldn't take them in Kabalite Warriors, really. Haven't found the use for them. If you found a use for them, let us know in the comments down below. You can also give a second special weapon if the unit's 20. So before you could only do it 1 per 20, now it's 2. So 20 you can have 2 blasters. Also 1 in 10 models can have a heavy weapon, either a Dark Lance or a Splinter Cannon. Dark Lance went down in points, Splinter Cannon went up in points from last edition. Personally, I like both. If they're on foot, I would recommend Dark Lances with 2 blasters in a big 20-man unit. And if on a raider, I would recommend nothing. Simply because I do not like the change to salvo for the Splinter Cannon. And I think Splinter Cannons are going to be stuck to Venoms, mostly. Just leave it to the Venoms. And then that's pretty much what Kabalites can do. They can take a raider or a Venom as a dedicated transport. It's important to note that they can take the raider or Venom even if they can't physically fit in the tank. They can take it just as an extra tank, as an upgrade, which is kind of cool. Which goes in tune with a lot of different books in the currently. So then we have the Trueborn. You can give them all that. I'll talk about Trueborn in a second. So now I'm going to talk about Kabalite Warriors in more of a veteran sense. Kabalite Warriors are the mainstay of any list. I would run either 2 to 4 units of Kabalite Warriors always. They put a lot of bodies on the table, a lot of shots. You need bodies, and you know, being 8 points a model, they're relatively cheap by Dark Eldar standards. They, you know, are mainly an anti-infantry unit, so focus them against infantry. They are also really enhanced by the way that you use the transport that you've picked for them. So the upgrades that you give a transport are hugely important in the role of a Kabalite Warrior unit. Like the Blaster unit, right? 5 warriors, blaster, now I'm going to put a haywire grenade in there, in a Venom with dual cannons. It's designed to sit back and shoot, the warriors get out on the objectives, or if you're fighting a heavily mechanized army, you run them up and get the blasters into range as soon as possible and just start blasting away tanks while swarming the field with lots of cheap objective secured transports and characters, and units. And I don't think that's changed. I think that the old book did it well, and the new book does it even better. Like, Kabalites are good. They're really, really good. I highly recommend them. You know, right now I only have about 30 of them built, but I'm going to be building up to 60 of them in order to run just large units and quantities of just raiders filled. So let's talk a little bit about a couple of good key upgrades that benefit them greatly. If you're running larger squads, having a Grizzly trophy nearby, so they can, Grizzly trophy so you can re-roll leadership tests so they don't run away, especially if it's a larger unit, very important. Or put a fearless character in the unit, whether it be from the new Coven detachments, whether it be a Eldar ally. I know some of you are like, Eldar ally, no, but honestly, you should consider the Eldar book and the Dark Eldar book one book, including the Corsairs from Imperial Armor 11. They're all battle brothers. Honestly, just pick and choose anything you need from 3 of those books and build a list that you want, whichever one you want. So with the Shard of Inaris, and just use them in that capacity. I think they're fantastic. Okay, Trueborn, of about the same sort of use. I feel that you'll see less Trueborn in this edition as you did last. The main reason to upgrade them to Trueborn is that they take more special and heavy weapons for fewer models. So a unit of 5 Trueborn can have 4 blasters, and then you can upgrade one. In this case, I'd upgrade him to a Draken, and then I'd give him haywire grenades, for example. Or you can have 5 Trueborn with 2 splinter cannons instead of having to buy 20 Kabalite Warriors with 2 splinter cannons or 2 dark lances. So they're great for sitting back and shooting at stuff while, like, you know, just saturating the board with targets, or as a cheap Ravager, or as a, you know, more survivable Venom with 2 splinter cannons and like 3 ablative wounds, although they're more expensive. You can always run them for combat if you want, or with the Phantasm Grenade Launcher, both Kabalites and Trueborn, where I was saying, but that's more of a combo thing. Phantasm Grenade Launcher to cause that crazy leadership test or die ability, and run that with a character with a webway portal that'll deep strike with the Armor of Misery, you know, with the -2 to the leadership, with a Tormentor Grenade Launcher on a Raider to cause another leadership test. So you could be looking at just pounding non-fearless and they shall know no fear units, just with leadership checks, you know, just like agony and pain, which I think is really flavorful. So let me know how you use your Kabalite Warriors down in the comments below. I really like the discussion that's been happening with all the tactical videos. And of course, let me know how you use them. This is Skari. I hope you're appreciating these videos, and I will continue to make them. And thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe, like the channel, you know, favorite it if you really like it. And we're almost at 4,000 subs by the time I've done this video. So at 4,000 subs, we will be having a giveaway. So stay tuned for that as well. And thanks a lot for making this possible. I appreciate it.